When I was but a wee lad, I was introduced to the world of video games on a small and frankly busted silver PS2 Slim. I was immediately put on classics like Tekken, Crash Bandicoot, Ratchet & Clank, and more. But if my now almost 21-year-old brain can recall correctly, the first game I ever got to play, the first time I held a controller in my hand, was none other than Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. My older brother, who then must have been around 11 or 12, would just load up a save for me with every weapon equipped, and I would just go ham on the game, chopping up people with chainsaws, driving sports cars and blowing them up. I was big into cars as a kid. You know that meme of boys turning 4 years old and choosing either dinosaurs, space, or cars or something as their whole personality? I was the latter. The idea of a world within a screen where I could get into any car I see and drive it around was enough to make my 4 or 5-year-old brain go crazy, and by a year's time I would be an addict. Growing up in the Middle East, we had so many goofy-ass modded versions of the game for sale, from characters like Sonic and Hulk all the way to mods of random Arabic and Kurdish singers replacing actual songs on the radio. One of the most popular versions of the game where I grew up was called Serba Agir, which quite literally translates to head on fire in Kurdish. It was a version of the game where, you guessed it, your head was on fire and you were invincible. There was no missions to be done in this version of the game, so it was literally just one big sandbox. To this day, I'm not sure if this mod is supposed to be about Ghost Rider. I couldn't find anything about it, so I can't tell if it was an official mod or one just made in a few minutes by some random guy in his basement and then put onto DVDs to be sold to us. I wish I could find more information about it, but be that as it may. I grew up with many games through my childhood and early teenage years, but without a doubt the one game I keep coming back to almost yearly since that time, a game that I appreciate more year in and year out, a game that never gets old whether in gameplay, style, and visuals or story, is GTA San Andreas. To know how we got to this groundbreaking game, of course we need to backtrack and explore what Rockstar created beforehand and what led us here. So, grab your bucket of Cluckenbell, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more long and in-depth shit like this, hit the gym, get yourself some muscle, learn some boxing moves, and then use them on the like button. Oh Jesus, alright, enough! The Grand Theft Auto series for its first few years of life was a pretty poor performing and not very well known series. It was a top-down game which was originally meant to be a cops versus robbers game, but Rockstar thought playing as the cops would be boring and no one would choose it, so they instead opted to make it a robbers only game where your objective is to steal cars. The first game came out in 1997. 2 years later it was followed by an expansion, GTA London, set in 1960s England.
Remember, I'm the monkey and you're the cheese grater, so no messing around.
And then that same year of 1999 also saw GTA 2. It was that year, 1999, when Take-Two Interactive also acquired DMA Design, who'd previously worked on 3D games like Body Harvest on the N64. DMA Design would later be repackaged into Rockstar North, but for now this was the perfect time for the two teams to work together on GTA 3, which would be the first 3D iteration of the series. At first, the game was being developed for the Dreamcast, but due to that console's low sales, they knew the game had no permanent home there and decided to switch development over to the PS2. GTA 3 sought to be a breakthrough in open-world game design. With the help of the PS2's hardware, they were able to create an action-adventure with a world that gives the player freedom in what they want to do, in addition to a narrative taking inspiration from movies like Goodfellas and The Warriors, and it released in 2001. The game was a massive success and would be vital to both Rockstar's future and the series, as its legacy would be cemented over the next few years. In 2002, the next installment in the series came out, a game that was originally poised to be an expansion for GTA 3, but was different enough to be its own project. GTA Vice City is a game beloved to this day for its incredible aesthetics and 80s Miami vibe. The story, the open world, the setting, the vehicles, the weapons, they all took you into a world that had not been seen in a game at the time, as the series got more and more popular. Vice City drew inspiration from the likes of Scarface and Miami Vice. With the success of GTA 3, they also had a bigger budget and were able to cast more well-known names and actors for their characters, as the legendary Ray Liotta would play the protagonist, Tommy Vercetti. Finally, now with two groundbreaking titles, which were both huge successes, Rockstar began to work on the next installment, this time straight up attempting to create the biggest game in history, revolutionizing open-world gameplay. When it came to the setting, they'd done New York City in GTA 3's Liberty City, they'd done 80s Miami in GTA Vice City, so producer Dan Houser would say, "That time in LA is so important and we knew a long time ago that the franchise needed to end up there. We'd done the East Coast in GTA 3, and then 80s Miami with Vice City, so going to LA in the early 90s just seemed like an obvious place for us to go." However, 90s Los Angeles wasn't the only setting they wanted to put in the game. This was set to be the biggest game in history after all, and instead of one city, the game would feature 3, as well as countryside areas. The 2 other settings and cities they pulled off in addition to Los Santos would be San Fierro, based on San Francisco with its ups and downs and cable cars, and Las Venturas, based on Las Vegas with its bustling casinos and bright lights. The developers traveled to all of these cities and took thousands of photographs to help them recreate them to their fullest. Many real-world events influenced the story of the game, from the Rampart scandal of the Los Angeles Police Department to the blood feud between the Blood and the Crips street gangs. The writers of the game wanted a narrative focused on that area and time, the street violence and gangs, but it would also branch out into far more than just that. Some of the characters even bore resemblances to real-life legendary rappers of the time, like Sweet with Ice Cube, Ryder with Eazy-E, and more. Celebrity appearances also returned, as Samuel L. Jackson played the main antagonist, the police officer Frank Tenpenny. Everything in the game, from the driving physics to the shooting mechanics and aiming, melee combat, the textures, lighting, and visuals, were all improved immensely from the first 2 games, as Rockstar had a bigger 2-year window to develop the game. Finally, GTA San Andreas released on October 26, 2004 for the PlayStation 2. The player assumed control of the main protagonist, Carl Johnson, or CJ for short, a former member of the Grove Street family's gang who left Los Santos 5 years prior to the start of the story to live a quiet life away from the violence in Liberty City. With CJ, Rockstar wanted to create the most human protagonist in the series thus far, a protagonist who the player can feel a connection to and identify with through his story and actions. Instead of casting a world-famous actor like Ray Liotta, they opted to bring someone more obscure to play CJ to make him feel more human, and allow his actor to insert a more relatable personality onto him. And with that, young Melee was given the job, and he gave one of the most iconic performances in video game history in turn. DJ Pooh compared CJ to rapper Tupac, in that he had a fierce dedication to his family, but had an ability to become cold-blooded when necessary. At that point in time, he was also the most human and most alive protagonist, in that he interacted with the world around him, reacting to pedestrians bumping into him, replying to their comments, and even sometimes singing to himself when you're idle. With all that out of the way, CJ remains probably the most customizable single-player protagonist in the history of Grand Theft Auto. For the first time in the series, you were able to change and shape almost every bit of his appearance. San Andreas had a full-on clothing customization system, with several clothes stores from the different cities offering different styles. GTA 3 had no outfits to choose from, Vice City had preset outfits, and in San Andreas you were able to customize every bit of CJ's fit, from his shirt to his pants, shoes, hats, accessories, the works. The different clothing stores included the likes of Binko, generally the first store accessible by the player, selling cheap regular street clothes often worn by ally and rival gang members alike. Then there's Suburban, specializing in modern urban wear and decorated with a gritty urban-themed interior. Then there's Prolapse, a store dedicated to sportswear, selling items such as jerseys of the in-universe sports teams and such. Then there's Zip, selling mid-range casual wear, Victim selling semi-expensive formal wear, and finally, Didier Sachs, selling expensive and luxurious suits and the like. Any clothing item from any one of the stores could be mixed together, so you could wear a nice and formal blazer for the upper body, a pair of sports shorts and cowboy boots for the lower body, and fuck it, why not throw in some joke glasses in there as well? For the first time, the protagonist's hair could also be adjusted, as there are, much like the clothing stores, different barbers all around the cities offering different types of hairstyles that you could get CJ. Ranging from buzz cuts and mustaches all the way to cornrows, jerry curls, Elvis hairstyles, and blonde afros. There were also tattoos, and once again different tattoo stores allowing you to put different types of art on many different parts of CJ's body, ranging from his arms to his chest and back and stomach. But wait, there's more. CJ's clothes, hair, and body ink aren't the only thing that is completely up to the player's freedom and choice. There's also an entire hunger and muscle system, making CJ feel even more human and giving the player even more choice into how they wish to make him look. Eating at the different restaurants of the game increases your health, but if you eat too much, CJ starts to gain weight. There's fat and muscle meters which go up and down the more and less you do each activity. Don't eat for several in-game days and just sprint all over the map, CJ loses weight and gets pretty skinny. Eat a lot and pig out at every restaurant you go to, CJ starts to get more and more overweight until he looks like this, at which point he runs the risk of a heart attack during gameplay. If you hit the gym, however, and work out every in-game day, CJ will start to look more and more buff and gain more and more muscle as the meter goes up. When it's at its highest, he looks like this, just a swole hunk of a man. There are 3 different walking, running, and sprinting animations for the 3 different weight categories. Skinny CJ is the fastest and runs like a damn Olympian. Muscular CJ is slower but still possesses decent speed. Overweight CJ, however, is slow and clunky with how he runs and gets tired really, really fast as he has the least stamina. It's pretty damn incredible how a game managed to achieve such a level of freedom. There's even car customization for the first time in these games, allowing you to tinker around with various parts of your car as well as its paint job. All that customization and freedom was wonderful all the way back in 2004, which again is 20 years ago today. Insane. As we mentioned before, San Andreas has 3 big cities that are entirely yours to explore, all with their own overall cultures in addition to other smaller towns and areas, all with their own kind of pedestrians, all of whom make the world feel even more alive as they interact with other pedestrians around them and also respond to CJ and talk to him about various things. Los Santos is an urban wonderland full of big industrial buildings, rundown residential districts, and small neighborhoods bustling with gang activity, glamorous streets full of famous actors and models, beaches, and more. There are many different districts with different social classes in addition to poverty and such. Richmond, for example, is a district containing old rich families. Mulholland is located in the northern hills of the city where the Vinewood sign is located, which if you couldn't tell is yeah, that. And it's full of houses where famous actors, rappers, and record producers live. Downtown Los Santos is full of huge skyscrapers, and there's countless other iconic locations such as Vinewood Boulevard based on the real Hollywood Boulevard and Walk of Fame, Verdant Bluffs, the Santa Maria Beach, all the way to the main location and turf of our gang, Grove Street, located in Ganton. Los Santos replicates 90s Los Angeles perfectly, with pedestrians of the working class living in the smaller neighborhoods, gang members of all kinds using these neighborhoods where they grew up as their turfs, the glamorous and expensive part of town with famous actors and the like, and so much more. Los Santos, in addition to every other city and some of the towns in the game, also contains many different activities, stores, and restaurants and other things for you to do. The restaurants contain the likes of the Well-Stacked Pizza Company, a pizza parlor that is no pushover. It's most likely based off of Pizza Hut. Meanwhile, Burger Shot, marketed as containing enough grease to clog your arteries, is likely based on Burger King. And then there's Cluckenbell, telling you to taste the selling fried chicken and seems to be based on KFC and Chick-fil-A. It's also the subject of that one meme.
I'll have 2
Classic. There's also different bars that you could go to as well as different food trucks and hot dog stands across the map. A nightclub, a betting track for gambling, a gym where you can learn boxing, and that's not counting all the clothing stores, barber shops, tattoo parlors, and the different ammunitions, the weapon stores all around. And of course, that's not also counting the several different properties that you can purchase that serve as safe houses, not just in Los Santos, but in all 3 cities and even some of the towns. Of course, if we're talking about activities, we also have to mention all the different fun minigames scattered across the city, ranging from a variety of arcade games you could play such as Go-Go Space Monkey, Get Ready to Bumble, and more. Then there's physical games introduced for the first time, such as pool, and of course basketball. There's a ton of different slot machines and other types of gambling in casinos, the inside track betting, a variety of different dancing minigames as well as lowriders, and of course races. It's great how much extra side activities they crammed into the game in 2004, which is something I always enjoy and appreciate in a game. But moving on from that to the countryside of Los Santos, which is just beautiful. To the north of Los Santos is Red County, a rural area full of big forests consisting of tall redwood trees, beautiful rivers and streams, industrial factories, and several small towns scattered across the countryside, such as Palomino Creek, Montgomery, Blueberry, and Dillamore. All the countryside areas contain generic hillbilly and redneck pedestrians. To the west is Flint County, a heavily underdeveloped region that is not inhabited by many people and contains some small farms here and there, and some dirty rivers but no towns. To the southwest of that, however, is Whetstone, a big region full of forests and hills, big rivers and bridges. It houses the town of Angel Pine, a junkyard, and of course the massive Mount Chiliad, the biggest mountain in the game's universe. One of the areas in the region is known as Shady Creeks, a foggy and cold forested area full of uneven terrain, and close to it of course is the gargantuan Mount Chiliad, which is climbable and races are often held by pedestrians on mountain bikes starting from the summit to the mountain's base. Mount Chiliad is an iconic location that is famous to this day. Crossing Mount Chiliad and heading north of it will take us to our second big city, the one and only San Fierro, based on San Francisco, another bustling metropolis packed with huge buildings on uneven ups and downs as the street trolleys move all over the city, picking up its people who are progressive and alternative, not counting the heavy triad activity, of course. In a way, San Fierro is closest to Liberty City with its heavy fog and darker, less colorful atmosphere, in addition to the many triads hanging around the neighborhoods of the city battling one another. Colton Heights contains some awesome Victorian-styled buildings sitting on tall hills, obscured by the city's trademark fog, while giving a beautiful view of the San Fierro Bay and the huge and recognizable Gant Bridge. And the city contains other iconic locations such as Hashbury, Pier 69, and Chinatown. To the north of the city in the outskirts is a small region known as Tierra Robada, another hill and tree-dominated bit of land housing a few towns, and of course to the east is the third big city. Las Venturas, based off of Las Vegas, is possibly my favorite city in the franchise to this day, just a beautiful recreation of one of the most famous cities in the US, featuring everything you might expect from bright neon lights, packed casinos with different types of games, meaning yes, there's a whole gambling and debt system in this game, huge hotels, and so much more. It is such a treat to walk the city in the game, and just look at the aesthetics of the nightlife on display here. The insane, outlandish structures that exist in the city, ranging from the pyramid to the pirate ship and more, the unique architecture of the several casinos, the nostalgic streets and lights, I don't think there's a city I want to see back more than Las Venturas. You know what to do, GTA 7, hopefully releasing in 2065, and maybe this time they'll include the Sphere. The Four Dragons Casino has an Asian theme, meanwhile Caligula's Casino has an ancient Roman design. In addition, there's the awesome Blackfield Stadium, the luxurious Pirates in Men's Pants Hotel, the Egyptian-themed Camelstowe Casino and Hotel, and even outside the city is the beautiful and huge Sherman Dam. Las Venturas is not only my favorite personal city, but the countryside region surrounding it is also my favorite of them. Bone County is a large and beautiful desert region full of huge rock formations, sandstorms, abandoned ghost towns, and more. This region contains some small towns as well, such as Fort Carson, but no doubt its beautiful orange look, in addition to some of the places of interest, are what makes it one of the more unique and interesting regions to explore, containing places such as a snake farm, a huge quarry, the Lil Probe Inn, the world's biggest the ghost town of Las Brujas, and of course the secretive restricted government location of Area 69. Another 69 joke, yippee. All in all, San Andreas' map wasn't absolutely huge. In fact, if you compare it to most modern open-world video game maps today, it's pretty small. But Rockstar sprinkled a lot of fog along with the clever usage of the draw distance of games of the time to make the map feel way bigger in scale and make things feel further away than they are. And this is something the absolutely disrespectful and dogwater Definitive Edition Trilogy release from 2021 messed up by removing all of the fog, making the map look tiny, but more on that later. To this day, San Andreas has one of the greatest and most iconic maps in the history of video games. It wasn't just big and packed, it was unique with each city encompassing a different aesthetic and culture. It didn't sacrifice style, as each city is also beautiful in visuals, and is memorable to the core, a wonderful homage to its real-life counterpart as well, and that extends to the countryside and towns, all of which are memorable and nostalgic to drive through, giving you a sense of being there yourself, listening to the music in the car and just enjoying the countryside. Man, what a magical world San Andreas had. As you might expect, every bit of this game's combat mechanics was updated and made to play and feel so much better and smoother. Some people would say that it's aged badly nowadays, but I find that to be the case with GTA 3 and Vice City. San Andreas, however, remains good in that aspect. I can agree that the shooting mechanics definitely do feel aged, but not necessarily in a bad way, as it still feels decent and the controls for it are still pretty tight. You can aim and walk and switch targets pretty fast, and CJ's movement is pretty responsive and quick. With that being said, before we get into the shooting mechanics and weapons of the game, I'd like to talk about a much less appreciated aspect, the melee combat of GTA San Andreas, which honestly remains the best and most fun to this day. Remember when I talked about how customizable CJ is as a protagonist and how great that is for player freedom and fun? There is one extra step I saved for this portion of the video. Melee combat on its own is very simple. You have a 3-punch combo by pressing circle 3 times, and you also have a strong punch into a kick that knocks an enemy down by pressing triangle twice. However, In the 3 different gyms located within the 3 cities in the game, each one of them teaches you a different style of fighting that CJ can learn. The first one in Los Santos being boxing, the second one in San Fierro being karate, and the third and final one in Las Venturas being kickboxing. It's honestly so goddamn cool that Rockstar added this, not just to diversify the game's melee combat, which was hugely lacking in the first 3D games, but also to give the player even more choice and freedom in how they want their own CJ to play. With the melee combat out of the way, let's talk about the shooting mechanics as well as the weapons and upgrade system of the game. The shooting is immediately vastly improved from 3 in Vice City in that you can aim normally with any gun and switch targets with ease. You can also move while crouching and roll around to dodge enemy fire. Another addition to the movement is that you can now climb up most ledges. You couldn't in the first 2 games, but now you can. With the addition of being able to move while crouching, stealth mechanics are also introduced in San Andreas. They're not hugely deep, but they're fun and get the job done. You have a silenced pistol you're able to use to headshot and kill enemies quickly, as well as a knife. You're able to sneak up behind an enemy and slit their throat to finish them off right away. Other enemies in the area won't be alerted of this unless they see Carl, who's also able to hide in shadows to stay out of enemy sights. That's pretty much it for the stealth system. It's only used in a handful of missions in the game, but damn, it's pretty fun. San Andreas took away some cool weapons that were in Vice City, such as the one-shot revolver, and melee weapons such as the screwdriver, meat cleaver, and others, but it adds a variety of its own unique weapons in turn as well. Our regular guns include the likes of the 9mm, the silenced 9mm, the Desert Eagle, the Micro SMG, the Tech 9, the SMG, the pump-action shotgun, sawed-off shotgun, combat shotgun, AK-47, M4, the regular rifle, the sniper rifle, the flamethrower, the regular RPG, the homing RPG, and the minigun. In terms of throwables, we have regular grenades, tear gas, Molotov cocktails, and satchel charges. Some unique quote-unquote weapons include the likes of the spray can, the fire extinguisher, the camera, parachute, and then there's the insane selection of melee weapons, ranging from very regular ones like knives, nightsticks, shovels, baseball bats, golf clubs, and all the way to pool cues, katanas, flower bouquets, and 4 different types of, toys. Every weapon I mentioned in here for the most part has its own unique animations and the like, but what makes this game's shooting mechanics that much more fun and rewarding is none other than the skill system. Every weapon you use in the game, save for melee weapons, has a skill level that you start with and level up the more you shoot and use said weapon. There are 3 levels: Poor, Gangster, and Hitman. You start out with Poor, and as you kill more enemies and use the specific gun in question more, the skill level rises until it reaches the next level. With Gangster level, CJ gets less tense as his stance is more relaxed and his accuracy and reload speed get faster and faster. They hit their peak with the final Hitman level, but the really cool thing is that with some weapons such as the 9mm, the Micro SMG, the Tech 9, and the sawed-off shotgun, once you reach Hitman level, CJ actually dual wields these weapons. That's right, he busts out the Akimbo perk and starts shooting with 2 of them simultaneously, and it's the coolest thing ever. I love this system, and I'm glad there's even more level of customization and reward to the gunplay of San Andreas, not just the different melee fighting styles. Another system in San Andreas that frankly not a lot of people enjoy that much and do a lot of, understandably so, even though I quite enjoyed it personally, is the Gang Wars and Turf system. In addition to all of the side activities available in the game and the main storyline, you're also able to participate in gang wars against rivaling gangs for turf in the name of Grove Street. However, allow my friend Adonis here to explain it to you, as he spent countless hours of his life capturing every single goddamn territory twice. Dude, why would you do that?
Yeah, shut up. Anyways, when you unlock the system and take a look at the map, the green parts are your gang, Grove Street's turf. Purple is for their biggest enemies, the Ballas. Yellow is for the Vagos. There's a few other gangs here and there, but they're not too vital to this system or the narrative. The way gang wars work is that you have a respect stat in addition to the other stats Lars talked about, such as stamina, muscle, fat, weapon, and vehicle skills. Respect is your ability to run a gang of your own during gameplay, and it levels up the more turf you take for Grove Street. The higher your respect stat, the more men you can recruit to follow you around the map and help you in the gang wars, as they get into vehicles with you and shoot at enemies. When you roll into gang territory, you need to kill 3 enemy gang members in order to trigger a gang war. and from there you need to survive 3 waves of attacks from the enemy.
Yeah, so it somewhat feels arcadey in a way, with the enemies spawning and attacking you, as more enemies, health, and armor also spawn around the territory for you to replenish. But that's kinda where I found the fun in it, I guess. Once you survive all 3 waves and fend off the attacking enemies, you now own the territory and it becomes green on the map. But the more turf you own, the more you run the risk of an enemy attack on them, which at that point you can either rush to help and fend the enemies off, or you can just leave it to chance. And the game will randomly choose whether to tell you that Grove Street was able to keep the territory without your help, or if the enemies now captured it and you need to head over there and reclaim it. And that's where most people are turned off when it comes to this system, as it becomes a bit of a hassle trying to enjoy the game and sandboxing around when suddenly you get a notification telling you to hurry and help fend off the attacking enemies. That and, you know, there's so much fucking territory for you to take you'll probably get bored at some point. One of the lesser known features available only in the PS2 and original Xbox versions of the game, with the PS2 being, you know, that one version that is notorious for the bright-ass orange hue that we all love, is the local multiplayer mode. In a few different areas in the game are these icons. They're not visible on the map or anything, they're just like little secrets for you to find. Once you pick them up, you can connect a second controller as one player controls Carl, and the other selects a pedestrian that is unique to each city. So for example, in Los Santos, you can pick a random gang member. In Las Venturas, you can pick out one of the Elvis cosplayers. And bam! You have a full-fledged multiplayer mode with an overhead camera where the 2 players can free roam around the world and sandbox around. You can use cheats and spawn things like hydras, and that makes for some fun and chaotic gameplay. I'm not sure why this feature was exclusive to the older consoles and not on PC, but it was one of my earliest childhood memories of a video game, playing with my brother, and not a single GTA game before and after brought something like this back. Only GTA 4 and 5 with their respective online modes. By the way, you can press R2 to make out. The wanted levels of San Andreas work much the same as its predecessors GTA 3 and Vice City, ranging from 1 to 6 stars. In the early game, you're locked to only being able to obtain about 4 stars. Upon unlocking San Fierro, you get 5, and then when you unlock Las Venturas, you get 6. The crimes you might commit aren't quite as linked to the amount of stars you might get as much as, let's say, GTA 5, where if you kill a pedestrian or a cop in front of authorities, you might immediately get a 3-star wanted level and get chased down for a long time. In San Andreas, however, killing a pedestrian mostly leads to only 1 star, which you can escape pretty easily. Committing minor crimes also changes the behavior of the police. If you beat someone up, steal a car, or something like that, only 1 or 2 police officers will chase you down. And they'll attempt to beat you with a nightstick and apprehend you. With a 2-star wanted level, they'll start to shoot at you with pistols and shotguns as more cars as well as motorcycles will roll in. And speaking of, San Andreas was also the first game in the series to have police officers on motorcycles, and weirdly enough, only Vice City Stories in 2006 brought this back. The other games in the series never did. In any case, moving up to a 3-star wanted level, you'll start having police helicopters providing air support, finding you with searchlights if you're hiding, as well as dropping in SWAT units armed with Uzis and MP5s to shoot you. If you survive this, you'll get 4 stars, where the cops will start to set up roadblocks and spike traps, and armored SWAT vans will join the fight carrying even more units. A 5-star wanted level is even more insane as the local police retreat and you're now going to be pursued by literal FBI agents in addition to the SWAT units. The streets begin to clear of civilians as you're now pretty much declared a national threat. Finally, you'll then reach the difficult 6-star wanted level. It's pretty damn hard to survive this one. The FBI retreats and calls in the US military, as the whole army is unleashed on Carl. Big trucks holding several soldiers all wielding M4s and AKs start to come in addition to tanks. Being on foot will be too hard, and if you get into a car and start driving and you see a tank, you may as well call it quits, because if the tank just barely grazes you, the car is going to explode right away, killing you. In addition to the army, the SWAT units are also still in hot pursuit, with helicopters as well as vans, making the 6-star wanted level damn near impossible to survive without cheats. Still pretty damn awesome how you can go from a small-time criminal who just stole a bicycle from the street to being declared a national threat with the streets all being cleared of civilians and the US Army coming at you with tanks. Yeah, there's also an entire girlfriend system and a sex appeal stat, which, I don't know, there's like several different girlfriends throughout the game that you meet with, different tastes in how they want CJ to look and behave, and you have to take them out on dates. Look, the system is horribly confusing, and I could never get the hang of it. Also, my sex appeal is literally always at 0. What the fuck? Our story is set in the year of 1992. Carl Johnson left Los Santos 5 years prior in 1987 following the death of his brother, Brian Johnson. The cause of his death is unknown, but it is implied that CJ was there when it happened and he didn't help, letting Brian die. This caused his older brother, Sean Johnson, or Sweet, to blame him for Brian's death, resulting in Carl leaving and moving to Liberty City to get away from all the gang activity and violence. He would, of course, miss Brian's funeral. During these 5 years, it's implied that there was little to no contact between CJ and his family members and his brother, mother, and sister. In 1992, Grove Street's biggest enemy gang, the Ballas, drives into their hood in a green car, the Grove's colors, as they perform a drive-by shooting. Their target appears to be Sweet, but they instead accidentally end up shooting and killing CJ and Sweet's mother, Beverly Johnson. The car quickly drives off as Sweet and Kendall cry out for their now-deceased mother. As Sweet calls CJ on the phone, we hear their brief phone call in the intro of the game as CJ packs up and leaves Liberty City.
What's up? Carl is Sweet. What's up, Sweet? What you want? This mama. She's dead, bro.
When CJ arrives in Los Santos, he's immediately harassed by the heavily corrupt police officers Frank Tenpenny and Eddie Pulaski. They force him out of the taxi he was in and detain him, taking away his money and belongings.
Welcome home, Carl. Glad to be back. You haven't forgotten about us, have you, boy?
Hell no, Officer Tenpenny. I was just wondering what took y'all so long.
Get in the car.
Ease up, man. Damn.
Pulaski makes a racist derogatory remark towards the taxi driver, showing his racial prejudices in addition to his violence and impulsiveness. The officers Tenpenny and Pulaski drive CJ around the poor neighborhoods he grew up in, as he tells them he's only here to attend his mother's funeral. Unbeknownst to the player at this time, Officer Hernandez, the third member with them, had been forced to kill another officer, Ralph Pendlebury, who had threatened to expose their secrets just about 10 minutes ago. Pulaski and Tenpenny are attempting to turn Hernandez into their own lapdog to use for their schemes. The two of them were part of Crash, Community Resource Against Street Hoodlums, a division led by Tenpenny that was corrupt and controlled the city's gangs by keeping them against one another, profiting off of the city's drug trade and committing other secret crimes and schemes covered up in the name of the law. They hand CJ the gun that was used to kill Officer Pendlebury in order to have leverage over him. Despite CJ's protests about the gun not belonging to him, Crash now had dirt they could use on CJ if they needed to, and he would need to comply and do whatever they wanted of him if he didn't want to catch a case. They drop CJ off in an alleyway as he gives us the one and only legendary monologue.
Oh, shit. Here we go again. Worst place in the world. Rolling Heights baller country. Now, I ain't represented Grove Street in 5 years, but the ballers won't give a shit.
The player takes control of Carl here, who reaches his childhood home of Grove Street on a bike. At least it was before he fucked everything up. Inside his childhood home, he feels sad over the memories of his troubled past and his absence during his mother's death. He recollects many memories as he looks upon a picture of Beverly. It is here when the iconic Melvin Harris, or more commonly known as Big Smoke, intervenes and tries to attack Carl with a baseball bat.
You picked the wrong house, fool!
Hey, Big Smoke! It's me, Carl! Chill!
CJ. Oh, my dog! What's up? Hey, baby. You okay, man?
Nah, man. It's my mom's, homie.
Hey, I don't know why this had to happen, but I promise you, I'm gonna find out who killed your moms. The streets is cold, dog. Like it says in the book, we are blessed and cursed.
What fucking book?
Same things make us laugh, make us cry.
Big Smoke is clearly shown to be a somewhat deluded and self-righteous man who sometimes speaks bullshit, but seems to generally be a good dude who wants our best interest. He and CJ drive to Beverly's funeral, where CJ hugs his sister Kendall. Sweet, his older brother, is angry at him the second he sees him because he missed this funeral, just the same as he missed his younger brother Brian's.
That's another funeral you ran away from, fool. Just like Brian's.
Hey, she was my mama too.
Not for the past 5 years she wasn't, nigga. And where the fuck you think you going?
What? Get out my face. I'm going to see Caesar.
The hell you are, girl. You ain't messing with them essays. You know we beefed it. They ain't nothing but a
Look,
bunch
I
of
love
lowlife.
women. What the fuck are
At
you?
least I got principles.
Oh, and I guess that makes you an upstanding American. Carl, tell him.
Carl, don't tell me shit,
As long
bitch.
as he treat her right, disrespect you, and he
How the
did.
hell you gonna say that? Like it's any business of yours.
Fuck you, sweet.
Oh, shit. Here
Asshole.
we go again.
As everyone bickers the second they meet again, Big Smoke and Ryder stay out of it as it's the Johnson family's business. Kendall leaves as Carl, Sweet, Smoke, and Ryder, the iconic quartet, are leaving the cemetery. They're attacked by Ballers members who blew up Smoke's car. Now with no wheels, they opted to steal a few bikes and began to pedal back to Grove Street while avoiding enemy gunfire from the Ballers car chasing them. They ride through many different streets before they finally reach their home. The Ballers car would turn around and drive off. Ryder then chastises CJ for his haircut and outfit, telling him he needs some colors, as Sweet and Smoke tell him to get some rest and drop by later. CJ gets some sleep in his childhood home as he then goes to meet with Ryder, who takes him to get a haircut. Carl asks Ryder if their old childhood barber, Old Reese, is still running his barbershop. Ryder replies that he popped his membrane years ago, and that there's no way he'd let that old fool near his head. Carl doesn't care and drives there anyway, as Old Reese greets him after all these years and gives him a nice haircut. Ryder then tells Carl that he's looking too skinny and tells him to hit the pizza parlor opposite the barbershop. As CJ goes to grab a bite, Ryder, like a fucking dumbass, attempts to rob the pizza place at gunpoint, trying to appear as if it's not him.
Ryder, not this again.
It ain't me, fool.
No one else is that small. I feel sorry for your dad.
So this cashier, who probably gets paid minimum wage, not only calls Ryder short, but then tries to shoot at them with a whole pump-action shotgun. Insane. Carl and Ryder both drive away and return to the Grove. CJ, now with a better haircut and some food in his system, meets his older brother Sweet, who's been yapping on about that graffiti too. So Sweet takes CJ and gives him a spray can, as the objective of this mission is to spray Grove Street's colors over different points where the Ballers have sprayed their own colors. You spray a few different places and then go back home. Carl and Ryder then take a walk around the neighborhood. Ryder tells CJ it's been fucked up because of all the drugs around, and that everyone, including their own Grove Street members, is high and slowly throwing themselves into an early grave. They go on a ride to clean up the neighborhood as they meet two old members of Grove Street families, Beat Up and Big Bear. Beat Up antagonizes Carl and Ryder and tells them to leave, as Big Bear, who, as is implied by his name, used to be a huge man who was the muscle of the group. He is reduced to a skinny junkie who just cleans Beat Up's toilet for him. CJ realizes what these drugs are doing to their old family members as he goes with Ryder to beat up and kill a nearby dealer. They track down a crack den and force their way in, beating up everyone in order to stop the supply of the crack, at least temporarily, as they drive back to the Grove, where Smoke says he's hungry.
Ah, man, shit. Hey,
Man cannot live on bread alone. I know. I tried that shit. Carl, you look a little thin, man. You gotta be hungry, man.
Yeah, I
What
could
you
eat.
fools trying to eat?
That's
What about
wrong.
some tacos?
Tacos again? Hell no. Chicken, man. No
Man, I don't
discussion.
want no chicken.
This is the start of the iconic mission Drive-Thru, where CJ, Sweet, Ryder, and Smoke all go for a bite to eat. They drive to Cluck and Bell to get some fried chicken, and on the road, CJ tries to talk about the death of his mother.
Our moms get killed. We gotta talk about it.
We all gotta talk about it. They was going for Sweet.
How you supposed to know that? You know what people are like. Say they have love for you, but won't say a word. Too damn scared.
Some people say they saw a green Saber doing the work, then speeding away.
Yeah, but people like to talk, don't they? Anyway, that's half of Santos you talking about.
Yeah, you right. My bad.
Hey, bruh.
They had sprayed the house. I ain't see shit.
Ryder agrees and adds that some people say they saw a green saber performing a drive-by, whereas Smoke is strangely dismissive of the subject. They roll up to the drive-thru window, and this is where the funny meme happens.
I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 law.
As they're all about to start enjoying their delicious fried chicken, a Ballas car shows up and all hell breaks loose as they now have to chase it and kill the Ballas member. While Carl is focused on driving and Sweet and Ryder are focused on shooting, Smoke's fat ass is just stuffing his face and eating everyone's order in addition to his own.
Whoa, stop stuffing your face and start popping them balls.
I'm trying to enjoy my food.
And those fools are trying to enjoy our death. Now come on, Smoke, shoot. Speed up a little.
I'm
You see-
finishing my fry.
After they successfully got rid of the Ballas members after them, they argue about it and all chastise Smoke for not helping out.
Man, that food filled a hole.
You chubby motherfucker. Next time you better start blast or I'm gonna blast you myself. Smoke, you wide, man. I mean, wide.
And that's why you love me, baby.
The next couple of missions are dedicated to meeting Emmett, the gang's old arms dealer, and getting some weapons, driving into Ballas territory and performing a few drive-bys, and saving Sweet, who is sleeping with a girl from an enemy gang. Very smart, Sweet, very smart. It's here where CJ drives a lowrider car and participates in a contest. He wins and meets his sister Kendall's boyfriend, Cesar Villalpando, the leader of a gang known as the Varios Las Aztecas. While they are a gang not currently butting heads with Grove Street, CJ remains cautious and objects to his sister dating Caesar just as Sweet does. But Caesar is friendly towards Carl and wants to show that he really does love Kendall. Caesar is one of the best characters in the game and a true friend who proves his loyalty. While Carl is distrusting towards him at first, much like Sweet is, the two slowly become close friends and form a brotherhood over time, as well as a working relationship between their respective gangs, as they both want to tackle the big issue of the drug trade in Los Santos and what it's doing to their people. The next mission, Home Invasion, introduces the home robbery mechanic, where you take a specific kind of van, the Boxville, and you enter a home after hours to steal various items that are worth a lot of money. Just another strange mechanic in the game that not a lot of people really delve into, like the girlfriend mechanic. In any case, Carl and Ryder rob some random war veteran's house and steal his guns for the gang, and that's that. The next few missions are also with Ryder and are dedicated to getting more weapons for the Grove and stealing them from rivals and the army itself, because as Ryder says,
We ain't got shit now.
afterwards, CJ, Sweet, and Smoke head over to the police department to pick up Jeffrey, or OG Loke, who just got out of prison. This is one of the more annoying missions in the game, as you have to endure a long scripted chase with a lot of possible crashes until the guy you're chasing, Loke's prison, let's say friend, stops and we kill him and his gang. However, I somehow managed to complete it pretty fast before we got to that. Loke afterwards has to work a job his parole officer lined up for him. He's a janitor at Burger Shot, or as he calls it, a hygiene technician. OG Loke is one of the goofier characters in the game, as he's literally written to be as lame as possible, calling himself a gangster at every turn and screaming it at everyone's face, delivering some of the most dog shit rap and rhymes I've ever seen in my life, and just all around being a non-threatening all-talk kind of guy.
Hey, yo, give me back my rhymes, you thief! I'm gangster! You dropped the soap, sugar!
However, the next couple of missions are with Smoke. He comes with us on some strange errands, as he first says he has to pick up his cousin from Mexico, but that was just a coded lie for he's meeting some vagos to ask for some weed from them. Afterwards is the infamous wrong side of the tracks mission, where you follow that train and shoot some more vagos members for no real reason. And at the end of those missions is one where Carl and Smoke cut an apparent deal with some Russian mobsters, and they end up getting double-crossed as hordes of Russians chase and shoot them down, resulting in a high-octane chase full of Michael Bay explosions. Every mission you do with Smoke, something appears to go wrong and you get ambushed, or whatever it is that you do, it doesn't benefit the Grove whatsoever. It's really strange, but in any case. CJ then steals some sound equipment for OG Loke and then sneaks into a famous rapper, Mad Dog's mansion in the Vinewood Hills. This is where the stealth system of the game is introduced. CJ steals Mad Dog's rhyme book so Loke can have some proper material not written by his dumbass. And then he even poses as a valet and kidnaps Mad Dog's manager, driving his car into the ocean and killing him. Pretty damn evil. So, while Loke throws a house party with his newfound alleged writing talents, the Ballas attack Grove Street while the party is raging on, and our characters gather whoever's around and manage to fend off the attack. Sweet, realizing that the Grove is on its way to gathering its strength back with less drugs on the street and CJ on their side, he believes that now is the perfect time to act and zone in on the Ballas. However, this is when Crash, Tenpenny, Pulaski, and Hernandez call Carl and inform him that they need him to do something, and obviously he can't say no. He meets them at a donut shop, where Tenpenny drops an iconic villainous line on CJ.
Now you get this straight. We own you. You're ours. We can shit on you from such a height, you'll think God himself has crapped on you.
So they inform Carl of a gangster they're not particularly fans of and want him dead. So they supply him with some Molotovs and give him the gangster's address. CJ makes short work of the house and burns it down, but inside is a screaming lady who's close to being devoured by the fire. Carl saves her as she introduces herself as Denise Robinson. He drops her off at her home, and this is when the girlfriend system is introduced, with Denise being the first one in the game, but we are simply going to ignore that because we are afraid of women. Carl does a few more jobs that Tenpenny wants him to do before he's finally able to join Sweet, Ryder, and Smoke and the rest of the Grove, so that they can start waging war on the Ballas. CJ takes a drive to Ammunition to pick up some new guns, and from there attacks Glen Park, a Ballas territory. As a Grove Street rat who sold out to the Ballas tries to escape, Carl kills him. Grove Street's next move is to feed the Ballas their own medicine, as Sweet informs Carl of his plan to attack the Ballas while they're performing a funeral for a dead member of theirs with Kane, a high-ranking leader, attending. Not only will this serve as a blow to weaken the Ballas during a vulnerable moment, but it will serve as retribution for their attack during Carl and Sweet's mother's funeral. Carl is reluctant and believes that even though the Ballas had dealt them this blow before, a time of loss such as funerals still shouldn't be one they wage war, but Sweet doesn't listen as they all attack the Ballas at the cemetery, killing scores of them as well as Kane. Carl, Sweet, Smoke, and Ryder then meet up and discuss a truce with the other family gang members, Seville Boulevard and Temple Drive, at a motel to unite in protest of the Ballas filling the streets with drugs. Everyone agrees on Sweet being the representative of Grove Street on the matter, and they all head there. But all hell immediately breaks loose as the police ambush the hotel. Carl enters the motel saying he's not leaving his brother to die, as Smoke and Ryder drive off and leave him behind. Carl shoots through dozens of cops before he finds Sweet. The cops are still heavy on the attack when Smoke and Ryder return to pick Carl and Sweet up. The four men then drive through the city in a huge chase as the police is on their tail. They smash into a billboard as the car goes flying. They bail out at the last second and all watch as the car plunges into a fuel tanker truck and causes a massive explosion. The police calls off the search, believing Carl, Sweet, Smoke, and Ryder all died in the explosion. Carl then meets with Sweet and the rest of Grove Street as Sweet tells everyone to get heated, as it's time to put things to an end. Carl and Sweet agree to meet on the Mulholland intersection in order to begin. Strangely, however, Smoke and Ryder are nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, as Carl is about to leave, Caesar calls him and tells him he needs to meet him at a freeway in Verdant Bluffs, and tells him that it's urgent, that if he tells him on the phone he won't believe it. Carl meets Caesar and enters a car where Caesar tells him to watch the garage nearby.
So, some ballers hanging around a dope spot. So what?
Just watch, homie.
What the fuck? Oh, no. Shit, Smoke, what you into?
Shh, that's it. Look at that ride.
That's the motherfucking green saber. Shit, Smoke. Crash making you sell us out? Moms!
Sorry, Issy. I heard a rumor and poked around. I didn't believe it myself, but...
Nah, you did the right thing. I owe you, C's.
CJ is shocked to watch as a few Ballas members exit the door, followed by none other than Smoke and Ryder, and then of course Tenpenny and Pulaski, who is driving the Green Saber, the very car that was used in the drive-by to kill his mother. He deduces that Crash ordered the drive-by with the intent of killing Sweet, and were working with Smoke and Ryder as well as the Ballas to wipe out the families, as well as profit from the drug trade. Carl thanks Caesar for uncovering this and fully trusts him from this point onwards, saying that he now owes him. But he suddenly realizes that Sweet and the families are now walking into a trap. Panicking, he immediately instructs Caesar to take Kendall to a safe place, so that the two of them can lay low for the time being. Caesar hesitantly agrees, not wanting to leave Carl alone, as he immediately drives to the Mulholland intersection, attempting to call Sweet to warn him on the way, but not being able to reach him. As he expected, by the time he arrives, a deadly shootout is taking place with the families pinned down. Sweet has been shot and is currently down on his knees. CJ, out of anger and loyalty, takes a stand and helps the families hold the Ballas off for the time being. However, the police finally arrive as every gang member, both from the families and the Ballas, escapes. CJ remains standing next to his brother Sweet, refusing to leave his side and flee as his hands are up in the air. Carl wakes up with a bag over his head. As it's removed, he realizes he's detained in a police car with, of course, none other than Tenpenny, Pulaski, and Hernandez. They inform him that his brother Sweet is alive and is being treated for his gunshot wounds in a prison hospital. Of course, as per usual, Tenpenny and Pulaski require Carl to do something for them. If there's anything he needed less, it was for them to have more leverage over him, which now they do with Sweet under them in prison to do with as they please. So if he wanted Sweet to be okay, he'd have to do whatever they needed of him. In this specific case, they want him to track down an ex-police officer who is currently being held by the FBI under a witness protection program.
Witness protection for what? There aren't cougars in missions!
He has compromising information about Tenpenny and Pulaski's various counts of misconduct, and is hiding in a remote cabin up in Mount Chiliad. CJ needs to get up there, kill him, and photograph his body with a camera they provided him with as evidence. He then calls Caesar, who assures him that him and Kendall are safe and laying low. He hooks CJ up with his cousin Catalina, who is a bit of an insane lady to say the least. She immediately puts Carl onto some jobs as he needs to make money. They rob a patrol station, an inside track betting shop, a liquor store, and a small town bank. Carl then meets Tenpenny in a motel room who is high on pot. He also meets a man known simply as the Truth, a hippie that makes pot himself. Tenpenny requires Carl to not only pay for some drugs, but to also use them for another job he needs him to do afterwards, while the Truth tells Carl that he gives off a positive energy, and that he needs him to steal a combine harvester from some farmers before all that, calling them right-wingers and fascists. When he does get it, the Truth thanks him and says he'll let him know when the weed is ready. Carl then meets with Caesar and Kendall, who try to make him understand that Smoke not only betrayed them and has been working with Crash for God knows how long, but is a big part of Los Santos' drug trade, as he has cars bringing in the product from San Fierro weekly. Caesar also puts Carl onto some countryside racing as he needs the money, and one of them, the organizer of the race, Woozy Moo, greets Carl and introduces himself, saying his friends call him Woozy.
Woozy Moo, but my friends call me Woozy. How you doing?
CJ, Carl Johnson.
Listen, out here we like to race for cash or pink slips. Racer's choice. Get your car started. We're about to go. Good luck, Carl Johnson.
Woozy is a pretty chill guy and is friendly to Carl as they all begin the race. Carl wins and gets the cash prize. There is one more race soon after. As Carl is getting ready, he sees Catalina, who has now dumped him for another man by the name of Claude. Yeah, that guy from GTA 3. I wonder how it ended for him. Carl wins the race as Claude and Catalina have no choice but to give him his supposed reward, which he expected to either be cash or a pink slip, but they instead hand him a deed to a garage over at San Fierro, and inform Carl they're now gonna leave for Liberty City, setting up the events of GTA 3. Finally, the Truth has readied the weed and calls Carl to pick it up. The two meet up and Carl pays him the money he needs. A police helicopter then circles the farm as Carl and the Truth realize, as per usual, Tenpenny set them up. The Truth gives Carl a flamethrower as the two of them torch the entire wheat farm to get rid of it. Wondering how Carl is going to shake the helicopter, Truth proceeds to hand him a whole RPG. Carl blows the helicopter up as he and Truth drive to San Fierro on the hippie van the Truth likes to call the mothership, of course with all the weed. When Carl and the Truth arrive at a garage in San Fierro, they meet Caesar and Kendall, and Carl throws a fit over the disappointment of the state of the garage. It's run down and empty and has little to no purpose, until Kendall reminds CJ he can transform it into a business. Truth says he knows some mechanics who can help him out, so he takes him to meet Jethro, Dwayne, and Zero, and meets them all in the garage. We then finally find out why Tenpenny had Carl pay the Truth for all that weed, as he informs him of a DA who's trying to snitch on him in Pulaski. Carl would then plant the weed in his car and fuck him over. Caesar then informs Carl that he's been tracking a Ballas car that's likely meeting with one of the gangs of San Fierro for a cocaine exchange. He and Carl then arrive at the meeting spot in Blueberry, where they photograph the dealers to identify who they're up against, finding Ryder on the Ballas side exchanging with the Loco Syndicate. A big chunk of the San Fierro storyline is focused on Carl building connections with powerful people, as well as building his business. He gets close to the Loco Syndicate through two of its higher-ups, known as T-Bone Mendez and the Jizzy. He later meets an even higher-up person by the name of Mike Torino, who is distrusting towards Carl and makes him do some heavy jobs for the Syndicate. Once Carl works his way up the ranks, he gets closer to T-Bone and Jizzy. Oh, and yeah, those shitty Zero missions, which they're optional and yeah, fuck those missions. During this, Woozy also gives Carl a call as he believes the two of them could have a positive business relationship. He hires Carl to deal with some triad business in the city, but the difference with how Woozy operates is that he's loyal and trustworthy. He's usually a peaceful and calm leader to his gang, the Mountain Cloud Boys. He's an honorable criminal who has not been swayed by power and wealth, and he remains down to earth, though he can still be wrathful when angered. He and Carl ride together to perform a few jobs in the interest of the Mountain Cloud Boys. There are instances where Woozy runs into walls, making it clear that despite his other senses working at an amazing level, he is blind. CJ forms a healthy working relationship with both Woozy and the Mountain Cloud Boys, as he takes on jobs for them involving freeing hostages and having katana duels with leaders of other gangs. Finally, Carl decides to make the move on the Loco Syndicate, as while everyone is in a meeting with the Ballas, it's his chance to sneak into their club and kill Jizzy, and then ambush both the Syndicate and T-Bone as well as the Ballas before they could bring more drugs into Los Santos. Carl manages to kill Jizzy as he calls Caesar, who provided him with a silenced pistol. He tells Caesar to meet him at Pier 69 to ambush the rest of the Syndicate and the Ballas. Woozy holds up his end of the bargain by helping Carl out as the Mountain Cloud Boys joined him in the ambush. He gunned down many of the San Fierro Rifas with a sniper rifle before moving in, and along with Caesar, they shot down T-Bone and brought an end to him. As they look to the sea and the pier, their Ryder was scurrying off on a boat. Carl tells Caesar to stay back as he wants to deal with him alone. Carl gives chase on a boat of his own. Little words are exchanged between the two childhood friends who grew up together as Carl reluctantly pulls the trigger, killing Ryder. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about Ryder, and why his character has immense wasted potential in the storyline. First and foremost, his voice actor was let go early during work on the game due to disagreements with payment between him and Rockstar, which is why he noticeably has no lines beyond the betrayal in the game. Now, what this leads us to is the popular and likely true theory that Ryder was never meant to originally betray Grove Street. Despite the fact that he was using PCP and was likely facing hallucinations and detachment, he was very loyal to the gang and his friends. While all of Smoke's missions involved suspiciously getting ambushed with Smoke clearly attempting to get CJ killed in some way, all of Ryder's missions were beneficial to the gang, and he shot and killed many ballas during the early missions of the game, such as the drive-by mission, where you now realize that Smoke probably orchestrated the whole thing.
He orchestrated it.
He purposely made a large order and waited for the ballas to make their move and attack the car where Carl and Sweet are also sitting, which is why he never shot back. He just ate his food throughout the whole ride, but do you know who was shooting? Ryder. In that same mission, Ryder also clearly wanted to talk about the murder of Carl and Sweet's mother with them, which Smoke quickly shot down.
We all gotta talk about it. They was going for Sweet.
How you supposed to know that? You know what people are like. Say they have love for you, but won't say a word. Too damn scared.
Some people say they saw a green Saber doing the work, then speeding away.
Yeah, but people like to talk, don't they? Anyway, that's half of Santos you talking about.
Yeah, you right, my bad.
With his voice actor leaving early on in the game, his role was likely changed from a good guy on CJ's side to a villain who joins the ballas and you have to kill. Very anticlimactically, might I add, as like I said, he has almost no lines beyond the first act of the game.
Yeah, CJ. Hey, CJ, tell me why I didn't finish high school.
Because you've been dealing drugs, man, since the age of 10.
No, that ain't it.
Because you had put hands on that teacher for wearing baller colors.
No, that ain't it either. It's cause I'm too intelligent for this shit, man. I am the real deal, fool. Oh, yeah. A genius.
Oh, yeah.
Who has more straps than anybody? Who has all the straps, huh?
A man with a lot of guns. Shit, I give up.
The army, my nigga. The army. Let's go.
Yeah.
Go hit
Get
the
that out my face,
Go
man.
hit the
You
way.
don't fuck with
Oh,
that,
come
man.
on, man.
Come on.
Buster.
So yeah, that's a very popular theory about the original role of Ryder's character that's never been confirmed, but I honestly believe in. Back to the story now. Carl is sitting and thinking about what he did in killing Ryder, his childhood friend. Caesar assures him that Ryder was a backstabber and deserved what he got. Woozy then calls Carl to inform him that he has information on Mike Torino's whereabouts, the final leader of the syndicate that he hadn't killed yet. Carl gives chase to the helicopter that Torino is escaping on, driving through the city as well as the countryside before he finally takes it down, severing every limb of the Loco Syndicate and bringing it to an end. Afterwards, Woozy and the Mountain Cloud Boys provide Carl with a car rigged with explosives, helping him out and dealing a further blow to the city drug trade as he drives it into their drug factory and leaving the car to blow up, destroying their labs. Afterwards, he gets a mysterious call from a strange voice telling him that he has information related to his imprisoned brother Sweet. Carl drives to the ranch in the countryside where he was told to meet and is greeted with none other than Torino, alive and well.
Hey, Carl.
Hey, what the fuck, man? Hey, Torino, I told you my bad, man. What the hell can I say? I screwed you over.
Calm down, kid.
Just go ahead and kill me then.
Calm down.
Man, you ain't nothing but a fucking yayo dealer anyway, Torino.
Shut up and sit down. What, you think I'm a drug dealer? And you think you're a crusader for good? Do you have any idea what's going on? Any idea whatsoever? Do you? Do you?
Nah, I pay as little attention to things as
Do
possible.
not be a fucking smartass with me. I work for a government agency. It is not important which one. I will try not to confuse you.
Not only does it turn out that Torino was not in the helicopter that Carl blew up, he's also revealed to be some sort of a government agent who was undercover with the Loco Syndicate. Torino then cuts a deal with Carl as he sees how skilled and resourceful CJ is when he needs to be. If CJ would perform some tasks for Torino, taking down enemy agents and sabotaging rival agencies, Torino would make sure through his influence that not only no harm would come to Sweet in prison, but he would also be granted an early release. CJ of course agrees and begins to work for him. The first job he must do is seize a truck and drive it back to the garage. Afterwards, he drives to the desert to shoot down some choppers using a rocket launcher and protect a contraband helicopter. When it finally drops the package, Carl takes it to the drop-off point. Afterwards, CJ meets Torino once more.
It's amazing.
What's up now, Torino?
This history, it's all lies. It says Hitler killed himself, and that we nuked Japan. And people believe this shit. Jesus. Well, if it makes them sleep better at night, I guess.
Hey, man, what did you want? Is you gonna free my brother?
No, not now. And here's a little news flash. I said that to get you to do something for me.
Man, you real fucked up.
Now listen, I need you to buy me some property, okay? Shouldn't cost that much. You offer them $1. If they give you a hard time, kill them. I'm gonna need you to start doing some real wet work here for me soon, okay? Enough of this little girl bullshit. Now get out of here. Come on.
So Carl now has to purchase the Verdun Meadows airfield, an abandoned airstrip outside Las Venturas, in order to learn to fly and pilot properly. Oh shit, I forgot to talk about the schools, didn't I? Well, yeah, there's a driving school, a boating school, a bike school, and a flying school, all of which have different missions and objectives for you to perform to get your respective stats up. Only the flying school is required to progress the main story, the others are not necessary. Carl becomes a better pilot bit by bit. Torino often calls him to check up on his progress, and berates him if he hasn't made any.
Torino.
Carl, learn to fly.
I'm on it, man, I swear.
Hey, me, I'm on it, man. Same old broken record, Carl, but that's fine, because your brother's getting a new cellmate tonight. Horse Cock Harry, and I'm sending a present, little wedding present. Big tub of lube.
Shit, dude. Okay, I swear, man, I'm gonna be the best pilot.
I'd love to hear you, Carl. I can't hear you. All I can hear is your brother's love cries as 8 kilometers of cock finds its way up his ass. Oh, that's your brother, okay? No big problem.
Wait, please, man.
That was my last motivational speech, understand? Am I being too spiritual for you, Carl?
Okay, man, I get the message.
Finally, we discover why Torino needed Carl to learn to fly as he sets him out on his next set of jobs, all of which involve piloting a plane and getting in close contact with officials and agents ready to shoot him down. Yeah. So Carl flies around dropping cargo around the desert while being chased, he boards a plane and blows it up, among other things. Meanwhile, the Truth arrives in the airfield to ask CJ for a job of his own, telling him to infiltrate the secretive, restricted government research base by the name of Area 69, where he believes there's a quote-unquote black project being made. Carl sneaks into the military base and into the underground bunker like it's Metal Gear Solid, avoiding guards and spotlights. He arrives in the lab where a scientist hands him a keycard, which he uses to access the launch site for the project, which is revealed to be a jetpack. The entire army tries to give chase to CJ to reclaim their $50 million project, but he manages to escape with the jetpack, returning to the airfield. He's called by Woozie, who tells him to drop by the Four Dragons Casino in Las Venturas. Carl finally makes his way over to the amazing city where it's right to business. Woozie explains that the casino business isn't going fully well due to the 3 mafia families in the city butting in, those being the Leones, the Forellis, and the Sandacos. Woozie gives Carl an offer. If he were to help him out with some jobs against those families, he'd give Carl a share of the casino, which he gladly agrees to. The Mountain Cloud boys then catch a Triad member and tie him to a car's windscreen. He drives him around to instill fear in him and get him to reveal which family he works for, which family is causing the Mountain Cloud boys so much trouble. The Triad member accidentally then reveals that it's the Sandacos, and that he's a member of the family. Carl then begins to help Woozie systematically dismantle their presence in the city and its casinos. He kills some of the members of the family and destroys a factory creating fake casino chips, in addition to coming up with a long plan for a heist on Caligula's casino, which the Sandacos have a huge share in. The Truth then calls Carl about an urgent matter, telling him that he and a British band had went out on a drug trip in the desert, but he woke up in Los Santos and has no idea where the others are. Carl goes up to the desert to find them, and this is where he's greeted by Kent, Paul, and Macker, 2 hilarious characters, the former of which appearing in Vice City.
Hey, anybody out here? The Truth sent me.
Hey, over there.
Hey, man, you all right?
Fucking hell! I'm fucking hanging.
Stone me, bloody crows. Oh, where am I?
I don't know, mate. I was having a dream. I was wanking over some fat bird's tits when this twat turned up.
Macca, you fucking psycho.
You did it again, didn't you?
That peyote was shite. You're lucky I brought some tabs along.
I told you a million times not to put stuff in my fucking drink.
Oh, piss off, kidder.
He drives them back to Caligula's casino where he meets Ken Rosenberg, another character from Vice City, who is running a casino in the name of the mafia families who have forced him to. He's a nervous and shaky man who's not fit for the job, but he has to do it anyway. Carl then informs Woozy that he's found a way to scope out Caligula's without causing too much suspicion. He does a few jobs for Ken and the rest of the guys in the casino, when all of a sudden the head of the Leone family, Salvatore, has arrived in the casino. Carl, in order to show his quote-unquote loyalty and prove his skill, accepts a job from him and also tells him that he had the pleasure of working with his son Joey back in Liberty City. Salvatore tells CJ of a plane flying into the city with Forelli hitmen coming to kill him, as Carl boards it and eliminates the threat, earning his trust. Soon after, Leone tells Carl to fly to Liberty City and attack St. Mark's Bistro in order to assassinate Marco Forelli. Ken, Paul, and Macker are more or less being held hostage by Leone at this point. CJ, who believes they're innocent and don't deserve to die caught up in the business of these mafia families and casinos, asks Leone to take them with him as backup, who laughs and agrees thinking Carl would kill them, but Carl lets them hop into a car and drive somewhere safe to lay low. Afterwards, he takes a plane and flies to Liberty City. This part is actually really cool, as despite it being a very small map, you get to play in Liberty City for a few minutes in San Andreas, as it looks much like GTA 3. In any case, CJ completes the job and flies back to Las Venturas, where he then finds Mad Dog, the rapper and record producer who he had reduced to nothing for OG Loc earlier on, threatening to commit suicide and jump off of a building. Carl catches him in a truck as he lands on some boxes and survives, and takes him to the hospital. And finally, soon after, CJ meets Woozy and the leader of another triad, the Red Gecko Tong, who are partnering with the Mountain Clad Boys. The three men sign a document and share a toast as they agree to be Woozy's partners in the Four Dragons Casino. And soon after, they finally hit Caligula's in a well-planned heist. In the midst of all the casino business, Tenpenny once again calls Carl in order to make him perform a job. He meets him and Pulaski, who inform him of a dossier holding dirt and information on the duo that could get them in trouble as always. Carl takes out the FBI and DEA agents and reclaims the dossier. Tenpenny and Pulaski call Carl to tell him to meet them at Las Brujas, the ghost town in the desert. When they arrive, Carl hands them the dossier. Tenpenny proceeds to attack Hernandez with a spade.
You snitch piece of shit! You vato asshole! You sold us out!
He accuses him of selling them out to internal affairs and informing them of their corrupt work. He hands the spade to Carl and tells him to dig.
Where are you going? To get drunk and get laid. You got a problem with that?
No, Frank, relax.
Good. I'll see you back at the precinct. And I'll see you in the next life, Carl.
Hernandez briefly stands up and tries to attack Pulaski, but he's sadly silenced and shot right into the grave. As Carl begins to chase Pulaski, he makes several disgusting comments about CJ's mother and family.
Carl, you should have seen your mom's before she was buried. She was a real mess. Most of her face was hanging off.
Don't fucking talk about my mom.
The boys, you know, they fooled around with her at the scene. You know, touching her, joking around and shit.
Fuck you, Pulaski. Fuck you.
In order to rile him up, as well as saying he always wanted to have Carl killed, but Tenpenny stopped him in order to continue using him, and that it was in his hands now and that he's not such a soft touch. However, CJ finally stops him.
Not feeling so fucking full of yourself now, huh?
Yeah, well, them's the breaks, fuck.
Any last requests?
Yeah. Can I fuck your sister?
You an asshole to the end. Punk motherfucker.
And with that, Officer Pulaski is finally no more. Carl returns to the casino with Woozy, when Mad Dog appears saying that his mansion in Los Santos has been seized by the Vagos. Carl takes the opportunity as he thinks of using the mansion as a base of operations in Los Santos, considering Grove Street is no longer safe. Woozy agrees to help Carl and joins him in the attack on the mansion along with the Mountain Cloud Boys. Carl and the Triads jump off of a plane and parachute to the mansion's rooftop where they begin their attack. They shoot their way through the Vagos and finally execute their leader, taking Mad Dog's mansion back for him, as well as to use it for themselves. As Mad Dog, now in their debt, not knowing CJ is the reason he nearly lost his career in life, agrees to let them have it, in addition to Carl also becoming Mad Dog's new manager since he, killed the last one. Carl then gets a call from Torino once more. He meets him outside of the mansion where he informs CJ of yet another job he needs him to do in exchange for Sweet's freedom. Carl is sick of this by this point, but he has no choice. As per Torino's instructions, he sneaks into an amphibious assault ship in the sea in order to steal a military jet. The second Carl takes control of the jet, he's pursued by a group of other jets dispatched to shoot him down. Carl navigates the waters with the objective to blow up some spy ships, but he now also has to shoot down the jets in pursuit of him. Carl finishes what is now the craziest demand Torino has made of him, and he lands the jet back in the Verdant Meadows airfield. This specific mission is usually where I have to take a pause and think about CJ's journey. It's really awesome in a way what he grows into and becomes. He was once nothing but a kid growing up in a violent and poor neighborhood, and he's now become a government agent capable of shooting down jets, infiltrating secret military bases, in addition to owning shares in casinos, managing other businesses, and more. And despite all this, it has not gotten to him, as is shown by his reaction to flying the jet. He's not used to any of this still, and is still very much terrified of what he goes through.
You see? Child's play. Fuck you, Torino! I never want to go through this again! I think I'm a Earl! Oh, what a big wine. You want them cheese with that wine? Hey, you are spectacular. You know what? I'm beginning to think my little Carl's a double agent. Ooh. Shut up, Torino! Where you want this thing? What thing? I don't know what you're talking about. You stole it. Got nothing to do with me. I don't know what you're talking about. See you around. Torino! Torino! Shit!
And everything he did, it was all for his family and for the safety of his brother and sister. Not for any street ideals or for a neighborhood or gang that he grew up with, it was all to ensure the safety of his loved ones when his back was against the wall. So yeah, just thought I'd share that cool piece of information. Torino then meets Carl face to face in the mission and tells him he has one tiny final job for Carl, who aims a gun in his face and exclaims that he's tired of these insane jobs.
Hello, boss man. Taking care of business, I see.
Torino, fuck you. Almost lost my life out there for you.
I got just one tiny little thing for you to do, and then I'm out of your life forever.
You know what? I'm tired of your fucking little jobs.
Ah, will you stop? This is pathetic. Come on, you're embarrassing yourself. Come on, put it down. Don't be ridiculous, okay? Hey, I got a little surprise for you here. You ready for this? Huh? Answer it.
Hello?
Carl, Sweet.
Oh, Sweet.
I don't know what happened. They just released me. No idea what's going on. But I'm in the square outside the precinct in Commerce.
All right, you hold tight. I'll be right there.
All right.
So what was that little job you was talking about, Torino?
I just want you to go pick up your brother. Get out of here.
Torino holds up his end of the deal and makes sure Sweet is released, therefore ending his affiliation with Carl. It's a really awesome moment in the story which I feel encompasses Torino's character of a government agent. He's not a good guy or a bad guy, he doesn't care about using people or crude means to achieve what he needs, but he will hold his end of a bargain and fulfill a promise when he's made it, and in the end, he may have even liked Carl to a degree, who knows. In any case, with Torino now out of his life, he drives to pick up Sweet from the police department. The Johnson boys are reunited and are both happy to see one another as Carl tells Sweet of how great business is going, with the garage, the casino, his management of Mad Dog, when Sweet begins to berate him.
Hey man, we off to our new spot. We got a mansion, Sweet. We've been putting in work, and shit is going well. We got a stake in the casino, we got some insane shit in Fierro, we get into the rap game. Hey man, let me get you some new clothes, come on.
New clothes? Nigga, what the fuck is this bullshit?
What you mean, man? What's mine is yours, and you know that.
You never did get it, did you, Carl? I need to go check on things in the hood. Man, that's the problem. You always a perpetrator, running from what's real.
Hey, man, shit's fucked up there. You don't want to be in the hood.
No, that's exactly where I want to be. What you done for our hood?
Man, what the hood done for me? Always dragging me down. Ever since I got out the hood, shit been cracking. That's everybody's dream to get out the hood.
Man, you sound just like Smoke right now.
He tells Carl that all his achievements don't matter because he should consider his gang and hood first and foremost. He demands to be taken to Grove Street. Carl reluctantly agrees and takes him there as they see that the neighborhood has been taken over by crackheads, drug dealers, and of course ballas. Carl wants to leave and abandon it, but Sweet tells him that it'll always be his home and that he was born there. As the two of them begin to shoot and clear out the drug dealers in the area to begin reclaiming Grove Street and the rest of Los Santos. Sweet is a huge asshole for most of the game, and even more so in this part of the story. He's always been a bit tense towards Carl, but earlier on it was at least justified to a degree. Now he's just disregarding everything that Carl did for his freedom, all the insanely dangerous things he went through, becoming a whole government agent and shooting down military jets in the sky. He's just disregarding it all because Carl apparently didn't care about the neighborhood they grew up in. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a delusional man you see here. A guy so caught up in his old ideals that he can't see the future if it was within inches of him, and trying to speak some sense into him would be like talking to a brick wall. Fuck Sweet, all my homies hate Sweet. Carl later finds Sweet almost giving in to a girl trying to drug him and entice him with ideas of how the drugs make you feel, when Carl intervenes and kicks her out after she says that they have to deal with Beat Up. Remembering him from earlier, he and Sweet head to Glen Park and retake the territory before invading Beat Up's house. He says that he was threatened and had no choice under Smoke's ruthless leadership, and explains that only his lieutenants know where he is. He calls Big Bear to kill CJ and Sweet, but he doesn't want to, and instead joins their side like it was in the past. Sweet then takes Bear to rehab. Later on, Carl and Mad Dog are in the mansion when Dog is infuriated as he sees OG Loke using rhymes from his rhyme book. Carl, wanting to correct his error in bringing Loke that book, goes with Mad Dog and chases Loke on hovercrafts and go-karts. They catch him and take the rhyme book back as the owner of a record label speaks with Carl and gets Mad Dog signed once again. Afterwards, CJ heads back to the Grove to meet up with Sweet and other old members to push onto Bala's turf to reclaim some more of their old territory. Later on, as the whole group is sitting in the mansion, they watch the news coverage on the TV as Tenpenny and Pulaski have been charged with racketeering, corruption, narcotics, and sexual assault. Pulaski is believed to be on the run, meanwhile Hernandez is missing. A few moments later, it's revealed that the district attorney has cleared Tenpenny of all charges due to lack of evidence, and he once again walks a free man. Everyone watches on infuriated as the whole city erupts into chaos with public outrage and riots taking place in protest of a corrupt piece of shit like Tenpenny walking free to do as he pleases once more. Sweet then locks Grove Street down as Caesar asks for Carl's help as his hood is screwed up under the riots and he needs to get his old gang back together. Carl, knowing he's heavily indebted to Caesar for all his help in the past, agrees and accompanies him. On the way, a moment I really love occurs when Caesar wants to ask Carl something.
Hey, while we're here, I have a question to ask you.
Yeah, what?
Well, it's personal.
Come on, man, we brothers, you and me. You can ask me anything.
Okay, here goes. I want to ask Kendall the question.
What's the problem? Call her, dude. Here, use my phone.
No, Holmes, the question.
What? Oh, shit, you mean pop the question? Well, I'm okay with that. You know, I appreciate you asking my permission and shit, but...
Nah, I know you're cool, Holmes, but it's Sweet, man. He's the problem. Can you talk to him?
Sure thing, Caesar. I'll talk to him.
Thanks, CJ. That means a lot to me, Holmes.
Caesar, even amidst all this chaos, is thinking of proposing to Kendall and beforehand asks Carl for not only his blessing but to talk to Sweet about it. And it's more beautiful to think that he's asking this while they're heading into a genuine death zone full of riots, gang warfare, and explosions. They wage war against the Vagos in an insane shootout across the neighborhood, involving rocket launchers and flamethrowers. One of the Aztecas members, Hazer, is heavily wounded as they finally retake the neighborhood. Carl offers to take him to the hospital, but Caesar thanks him, saying he's done more than enough. And now finally, after all this time, Carl meets up with Sweet as the two drive into East Los Santos where Smoke is hiding. The two talk together as they agree they're both feeling nervous when they both reach the apartment complex. Carl asks Sweet to let him handle it alone.
Look, I know you down for this, but I gotta go in there alone.
What?
Smoke played me. Tenpenny played me.
They played us all.
Yeah, but you're right. I was a buster when my family needed me the most. Hey, I let Brian die, man. This one for him. For Moms. And for you, bro.
For Grove Street, baby.
Yeah, for the Grove, baby.
Hey. If you need me, you know I'll be.
For sure. You always been there for me, man.
He enters the building and begins his attack, engaging in a shootout with hordes upon hordes of Balas, Vagos, Sanfior, Arifas, and more. Carl shoots his way through the building as he reaches the top floor where Smoke is hiding.
Hey, Smoke!
Hey, CJ, I was wondering when you would show up.
How'd you know it was me?
Knew it was my old dog, CJ. Knew you was coming and I don't give a shit.
I'm here to take care of your fat ass. Then I'm gonna take care of your friends in the police department. Where they at?
Man, fuck this shit. Man, that's some good shit.
Man, you and Tenpenny.
Man, fuck Tenpenny, and fuck his Polish lapdog, and fuck the police, man. Oh, that's old shit. Look at you, you got the whole world. I ain't got no regrets, man.
Smoke, you had...
I made it, CJ. I'm a success. I can't be touched. I don't give a fuck. Fuck the whole world.
What happened to you, man?
Man, what the fuck do you care? I guess we better do this shit then.
Smoke clearly shows that he bears no regret in betraying Grove Street. As he became so deluded and up his own ass, he believed he was a celebrity who owned the world. Carl and Smoke engage in a shootout as Carl finally puts an end to him.
Hey, Smoke, what made you flip out like that, man? Was it the drugs or what?
I got caught up in the money, the power. I don't give a shit. Oh, fuck, man.
Why you just didn't quit, man? We was like family, homie.
I had no choice. I had to do it. I just see the opportunity of when I'm gone, everyone gonna remember my name. Big Smoke.
Damn, man. What a waste.
Carl Johnson, my man. I need you to do me another favor. You killed Pulaski, now this fat fuck? There's no stopping you. Drop the gun.
You ain't leaving here alive, man.
Where's your brother at, huh?
Why you just didn't shoot me in the back? Feeling exposed, huh?
Shut your dumb ass up and load the bag. Come on, let's go. I ain't got time to fuck with you.
So what it's like, Tenpenny, huh? All alone? Nobody got your back? Suck, huh?
Why you think I'm alone? I got a couple of rookies outside. But I gotta open their eyes slowly, you know. Little truth here, little truth there. All right, fuck it, that's enough. Chuck it over. I got a fire truck to catch.
You crazy, man. Lost it. You gone.
Half the city's looking for cops to kill, Carl. And I ain't about to get dragged out of a patrol car and get beat to death by some angry mob. No, not tonight.
What you catching? A plane?
Ding, 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 ding! Good answer, Carl. You know, you're gonna thank me one day for opening your fucking eyes. Oh, I almost forgot, Carl. Time to die.
Sweet!
What? Mother... It ain't over, Carl. It ain't over.
Carl manages to distract Tenpenny, who is now on the run from the building, as he sets it all on fire and leaves Carl there to die. CJ, however, gets back up and once again shoots his way out of the building, managing to escape just in time before the explosion consumes him. Tenpenny attempts to escape on a fire truck as Sweet jumps onto it, refusing to let him go. Carl gives chase and catches Sweet. The brothers are in hot pursuit of Tenpenny, who is slowly losing control by the second. As he heads to the Ganton Bridge just above Grove Street, he crashes through it as the fire truck plunges down. Tenpenny is gravely injured from the crash.
Come on, assholes! I'll take you all! You're mine! Mine! I run this town! Hey! Over here! Hey! Officer down, come on! Hey! Assholes! You never understood what I did. 50 of me, and this town would be okay. I took the trash out. I did. And I do it all again.
Don't do it, man. He's gone.
I just want to be sure it's over, man. That's all.
It's cool. Don't need to put a bullet in him. He killed himself in a traffic accident. No one to blame. Let's roll.
I mean, far out, man. You know, I mean, you beat the system. I tried for 30 years to cross over, but you managed it, man. I mean, man, you're an icon, man.
Oh, thanks, man.
I'm just glad it's finally over.
What's up with Smoke?
You know what's up with Smoke. He always saw things a little different than us.
Smoke? Smoke was always on his own, always out for self.
That is the surest path to hell, man. Well, without our 15 microdots and an ounce of mescaline.
Let's go get something to eat.
Sounds good to me.
See you around, officer.
Sweet tells Carl to let it go, as they were now finally free. No gang warfare, no crash, nothing anymore. They were free to pursue their own businesses peacefully, as most of the city's gangs are either heavily weakened or gone altogether. The guys sit together in the Johnson home to discuss what to do next. Mad Doc comes in and announces their first gold record. Carl has now more or less achieved every dream he wanted. Grove Street is safe and away from the hands of other gangs, and so are his family, in Sweet, Kendall, and his soon-to-be brother-in-law Caesar. He's now a legitimate businessman with a garage in San Fierro, the Four Dragons Casino in Las Venturas, and of course, he is the manager of one of the biggest rappers on the planet. This was the story of Carl Johnson, a once common man in a poor and violent neighborhood, and how he became a government super agent as well as a businessman, and damn, it's beautiful. That, ladies and gentlemen, was San Andreas.
Finna hit the block, see what's happening.
San Andreas to this day is regarded as one of the greatest games of all time and a genuine achievement in the video game world for the amazing world it crafted all the way back in 2004, immersing the player in it and letting you customize and play however you want, in addition to the fun and chaotic but also serious and sad when it needs to be narrative. Like most if not all Grand Theft Auto games, San Andreas is a parody of our real world, making fun of the absurd things going on while also delivering a serious narrative. It gives a satirical take on many elements of American culture through outlandish and humorous events taking place mostly within the background of the world, while still seriously critiquing that same culture and other aspects of it through the recreation of real-world events. Ask any person from most of the countries of the world who grew up in the 2000s if they recognize San Andreas, and most likely their answer will be yes. If not the original version of the game, then one of the many modded versions with all sorts of things added in, whether they're related to that country's culture or not. Over where I live, we had copies with famous singers' songs playing over on the radio and sometimes even their models replacing CJ.
I don't want this. Jodriesh! Dabaza Jodriesh!
The game is also confused with the Driver franchise here, and it is often called that by many people, though I'm not sure if that's the case for other countries and regions. In any case, San Andreas set an amazing standard for open-world games, not just in size and variety, but in detail and just how alive everything feels, not just in the visuals and environments, but the characters around you and the way they interact. The game is still huge in popular culture today, with so many memes from various different points of the game like Big Smoke's order, or the iconic train line, or the intro with CJ walking. Flying Kitty's YTPs are still among some of my favorite videos on this website, and CJ is still a beloved hero being modded into every game in existence as the playable character, in addition to San Andreas itself being one of the most modded games in history, with modders turning it into all sorts of different types of genres. As with any Grand Theft Auto game, you got loads of cheats in San Andreas, but I don't want to bore you with details of all of them, as a lot of them are just simply for spawning guns, different types of vehicles, ranging from cars all the way to Hydra jets and tanks, and more. The truly fun and interesting cheats are the ones that low-key break the game, such as the one that makes every pedestrian in the world riot. So upon activating the cheat, houses and cars around the city will randomly catch on fire. Everyone will be fighting, and if you mix it up with another cheat, most of them will start carrying guns, RPGs, and flamethrowers as well. The reason I call this cheat game-breaking is because there are several instances throughout the story missions where you can be locked out of progressing thanks to the characters within the mission being programmed to follow the cheat, meaning they'll start attacking you or not doing scripted objectives. A few examples of this include the infamous Mad Dog jump mission, where because of the cheat, instead of waiting for you to get the truck close, Mad Dog will attempt to attack CJ and fall off the building and die, immediately failing the mission. There is no way to circumvent this, as saving the game with this cheat activated will cause the NPCs to permanently behave that way, as there's no way to deactivate it, which is why you should probably not save with it on. I remember my brother trying to beat the mission using the slow-mo cheat code in order to try and get to the truck and then to Mad Dog in time, but always failing. And because of how late in the game that mission was and how he was unable to progress further, he quit, and to this day he has not beaten the game. Another instance of a cheat locking you out of progressing, at least temporarily, is when you activate the cars driving on water cheat and attempt to do the mission where you kill Mad Dog's manager by letting him drown. It's always Mad Dog, isn't it? When you drive the car into the ocean like you're supposed to, it just kinda sits there, and nothing happens. Just an endless cutscene. Nice. One of the more useful instances of cheats is in the countryside missions, where you have to race against Claude, Woozy, and the other characters. I'll pass it over to Rakuyo for a second as he has a childhood story to share with you. So everyone say hi to Rakuyo.
So, when I was a young lad, I've decided that I've had enough of playing GTA San Andreas as a mass murder simulator, or occasionally as a dress-up game. After all, this game had a real story, with missions of course, and I decided it's finally time for me to experience it for myself. I slowly made my way to the countryside portion of the game. Bear in mind, I was using a barely functioning PS2 controller which had terrible drift issues. After reaching the mission where you race Claude, I knew there would be trouble since I already was bad in GTA races, and adding to the control issues, yeah, I couldn't get past this mission. I tried what must have been at least 16 times before throwing in the towel. It was then that I had an epiphany. Why don't I simply look for a strategy to cheese this mission online? So I rushed to the family laptop, which was the heaviest, most cumbersome Dell laptop you could probably think of, and I plugged in this ancient artifact known as an internet modem. Mind you, this wasn't one of those fancy modern 4G modems that can download GTA 5 in 6 seconds. No. This little shit was a USB device that would take 3 minutes to connect to the internet, and then it ran at a blazing max speed of 100 kilobytes per second. I don't have any images to confirm this speed, but I remember that my brother was torrenting something once, and he was so impressed when it reached 100 kilobytes per second, he even took a screenshot to remember the moment. But anyway, back on track. As I cashed in my time on the family computer, I went on to the Internet Explorer, avoided the 50 million viruses we had installed onto the browser, and searched for a guide online. After finding some ancient Web 1.0 forum, I saw a post from someone recommending to use the flying cars cheat. It was genius. Since the cars will only start flying if they go over a certain speed, and since GTA races are checkpoint based, then all I have to do is to go slow enough to not fly, as all the NPC racers fly around and miss all the checkpoints. I may not have come up with the idea myself, but I would be lying if I said I didn't feel like my third eye was opening when I implemented it. This experience stayed with me as a clever little method of using cheats, and it's something I wish we could experience more of in the modern day.
Thanks for chiming in, Rack. So yeah, this was the last mainline game where the cheats were really full of variety with a lot of goofiness here and there, and I'm sure we all hope that GTA 6 has more fun and sandboxy cheats that just allow for dumbass fun. Of course I gotta talk about this. The 21 Definitive Edition isn't the only god-awful port of this game that we've gotten, and the other one is almost just as disrespectful and disregards the game's iconic status too. The one I'm talking about is of course the 2014 10th anniversary release of the game on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, which is just the mobile port in disguise. One of the greatest remasters known to man that completely takes away from the 2000s charm of the UI and HUDs, completely messes up lighting and glitches out the world, is buggy to the core, and more. This re-release was done by War Drum Studios, who, believe it or not, are the same guys who rebranded to Grove Street Games to make the 2021 remasters. Good lord, Rockstar. The most abhorrent thing about this remaster is the fact that it can actually lock you out of progressing because of how bugged and messed up it is. Picture this. I was about 11 years old and I was enjoying my time on the Xbox 360, but I miss San Andreas dearly, even with both GTA 4 and 5 out, and despite the fact that I love those games. All of a sudden one day, I'm out buying some new games with my dad, and whoop, I see San Andreas on the 360 and I'm giddy. I take it home and immediately put the disc in and I begin to play. As a child, I never got to finish the game as it was far too long for my brain cells to comprehend, so I often progressed to some point in the game before I stopped to just sandbox around. But this was my opportunity right here to finally complete one of my favorite games from my childhood, now almost in my early teenage years. I'm playing through the game, and despite the fact that it looks like shit, I still progress and reach the flying school part, which is pretty late in. I began to do it, and the game just froze. What happened? That was weird. Let me just boot it up again, and what? Because of some goddamn stupid bug, the cause of which I don't even know, no matter what, the game will always freeze and stop you from being able to progress. I had to buy 2 more copies of the game, 2 more copies of this trash, in an attempt to get it to work. Each copy froze at this same exact spot. Absolutely insane. Now, if you want an awesome video that will explain the fix to this and will also go more in depth into this abhorrent remaster better than I ever could, please check out Vadim M and Badger Gudger's series. It's pretty great stuff. But yeah, the 10th anniversary remaster was disgusting, and it was a kick in the balls for enough fans as it is. But 7 years later, Rockstar of course came back for the 10th anniversary of GTA 3 for yet another amazing remaster. This time done by Grove Street Games. It's the same goddamn studio who did the last hideous remaster. Good lord, Rockstar, how lazy can you be? So, Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition, releases in 2021, and it's one of the biggest disasters in the history of this medium, my god. Somehow even buggier and more glitchy than the 2014 remaster, somehow even worse looking with how cartoonish and horrible everything looks, and just... how? Rockstar, how did you guys, a multi-billion-dollar company, take the dumbest and cheapest approach to remastering 3 iconic and beloved games for an important anniversary date, and in turn disrespect their legacy and every one of your fans? How? So, another goofy little infamous tale from San Andreas is the one and only hot coffee controversy, which is an unofficial name given to a cut minigame, which you can probably guess what it was. The girlfriend system had another additional mechanic, I guess we could call it? Once more, I'll hand the reins over to my friend Lewand, who will explain better than I can what hot coffee was and the impact it caused.
So, what's interesting is that mechanic did not make it to the final retail version of the game, as you would expect. Rockstar, or rather Sam Houser, wanted to push the boundaries of what they can do within a game and cause a bit of a further stir, as the series is well known for with this minigame. And while it was removed shortly before release to obtain a mature rating for the game, a few modders discovered some animations and code. And when the Windows version of the game released in 2005, that allowed them to create the Hot Coffee mod. Rockstar faced intense backlash for the discovery of this minigame and chose not to respond to it whatsoever. And all the minigame was, according to descriptions, is it was a rhythm game. You just, do the deed on the beat.
The impact of hot coffee was insane at the time, with the ESRB issuing fines up to $1 million if developers failed to address and disclose graphic content within their games ahead of release and rating. It was such a hot topic at the time as well that Rockstar faced countless lawsuits and investigations. It got so bad even Hillary Clinton got involved and tried to fuck Rockstar over, so they proceeded to put her face on the Statue of Liberty and made her hold a cup of coffee. What is the state of our union? San Andreas Myths and Legends, what a nostalgic topic. Every insanely popular game has its fair share of people trying to turn it into a ghost hunt, with legends of Bigfoot walking around and aliens and UFOs being seen in the skies. This is a topic that's become so iconic, Rockstar started purposely sprinkling it into its newer games to mess with its fans. Around the late 2000s, when mods began to take off for San Andreas, people would upload these myth-hunting videos searching for creatures like Bigfoot, aliens, or even the ghost of CJ's mother inside of the house. These are oftentimes now hilarious to watch and go back to, with the classic Windows Movie Maker editing and the emo rock songs or the X-Files theme blasting in the background, and they're so ancient now, reaching 14 to 16 years ago when they were uploaded. The woods creature, the ghost car, the body bags, the suicidal photographers, Mothman, Jason, the ghost of Big Smoke, it keeps going and going. These went on for so many years, and as a kid I watched and enjoyed my fair share of them, often finding myself going to the areas in the videos to try and also hunt for them myself. Such good shit. With all that being said, at the end of the day, San Andreas will forever remain a legendary game, and I don't think it's ever truly gonna slow down. The game is still insanely popular today and continues to be played and modded, and featured in YouTube content as well as memes, so it's fair to say it's gonna stick around for a while longer. Probably another 20 years, maybe even more, who knows. Damn, I'm really excited for GTA 6.
Trust?
Trust.
Thank you so much for watching. This has been a video I've been wanting to work on for so long now, and I decided there's no better time to do it than the 20th anniversary of the game itself. San Andreas was a huge part of my childhood, and to get to talk about its impact always makes me happy. I certainly hope you enjoyed, and I want to thank my friends here for each sharing their own little stories and tidbits about the game. I appreciate you guys.
Can you let me out now?
And if you're interested in more dumb, long-ass videos like this one, I got more on the way for a variety of games. So remember to subscribe and do the like thing and the bell thing and keep your eyes peeled, because these streets is cold, dog. And have a good day, I'll see you soon. Bye now.